Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2018 Forester 3050. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice down below, you do have a 2-inch hitch receiver, as well as 7-pin wiring. And then right beside that, you do have a propane quick connect in case you don't want to run a barbecue out back here. That just works pretty simple. You just got to pull this cap off, pull that collar back like an airline, and pop in that line that we do sell. You can contact our parts department if you want any more information on that. And then you just turn that valve on and it opens up the flow of propane to the unit. Right here, you do have for your spare tire to run that down to the ground. You got a tool inside one of your compartments. You're gonna connect that on there, turn that down, and that's just gonna run your spare tire down to the ground. Also at the back here, you do have your city water connection. The way that works is you take if you're at a site, service site, you thread your garden hose into here, turn it on. It's gonna pressurize all your lines without the need to run your water pump. Then in this back corner, you have your twist lock connector. Taking note of that L there, it lines up with that L at the top there. You're just sticking those two together, giving it that 8th turn to lock it in, and that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home on the driveway, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind, when you're going down to 15 amps of power, you can't run anything like your air conditioner. It's just for lights and fridge. That's about it. Inside this compartment is where we're going to keep that power cord. One compartment over is going to be your sewer hose area. Open that up. You got your sewer hose cap. That works pretty simple. You just take this, give it a twist, pops right on out. You're taking notes of those 2 ears there. It's going to be the same 2 ears that are located on your sewer hose, which is inside that bumper cap. You're just going to line those 2 guys up, lock them into place. They line up with those notches. Twisting it locks it into place. You got your black tank and your gray tank. You're always going to want to empty your black tank first. It's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. You can follow behind that with your gray tank, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. You do have this hole in the floor which unscrews and allows you to run that sewer hose through. You got your 25-foot water hose with your 15 amp park adapter. And then just keep it in mind, you got these 2 nipples here, which is just for your 2 airbags in the back. In case you're taking a little bit heavier load, you can pump up those airbags a little bit, but standard, you want to keep those airbags around 60, 70 PSI, they say. And then you just have your black tank flush. The way that works is, let's say you're noticing an odor or false monitor panel readings. You can pop this cap down, thread your garden hose in there. You do have to have your sewer hose connected as well as your black tank open. Turn on that garden hose. That's going to rinse out that tank, just keeping it that little bit cleaner. You got your gas fill up from the bus right here. You got a couple more storage down below. You pop this guy open, as well as all the compartments on this unit do use a 751 key. Your unit should come equipped with that. You're just going to stick that key inside that lock, give it that twist, and it'll pop on open, and that's where you get your garbage disposal. Inside this compartment here, it's just going to be your service port for your generator. Pop that guy open. You can pop this guy open, and that just gives you access to your oil dipstick, as well as one of your start buttons. We do have a start button located inside the unit, which is the one I'm going to be showing you how to use. But that is just a override in case that one doesn't work. You got your typical bus chassis in the front. And along this side of the unit, you're just popping this door down. You got your main propane tank. You just turn in that valve open to open up the flow of propane to the unit. All the way open like so, and it'll allow you to close that back up. You got some more storage compartments down below the side here again. You got your fridge service port, which you're not going to have to worry about. And then you do have your hot water service port as well, which the only thing you really have to worry about is once you get to your campsite, you're going to have your pressure relief valve. You'll want to give that guy a pull. There should be a shot of water that comes out of there, letting you know that that tank's full. We currently have the tank drained for the customer to pick up. So that's why you don't see that shot of water coming out of there, so it wouldn't be safe to fire up. You get your drain valve right down below here. You're just unthreading that, and it'll allow that tank to drain and threading it back in. Whenever your furnace is running, this is going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then on this, in this door here, flipping this guy open, you'll notice you got your tire iron, as well as your stabilizer jack, which you do have 2 stabilizers at the back of the unit here. You're just going to hook up that nut to that guy there. You're going to run those feet down to the ground. Once those feet contact the ground, you are just going to give it another 8 1/4 turn just to snug it up, and that goes for both sides in the back. And then you do have that spare tire one right here, and then to open up this guy, that flap down, that gives you access to your winterization hose in case you don't want to do that yourself. And then you do have your low point drain and your fresh tank drain, as well as your hot and cold low point drains as well, all located right there. And as well as a fuse just for the water pump, so if the water pump ever doesn't work, that would be the first place I'd look. Get inside, just pulling that handle, opening up that door. First thing you notice off on your right, you do have your fire extinguisher. That's gonna be just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. And then right underneath this, you got this little latch here, allows this to flip open. And you got your 2 house batteries located inside here. Then on the wall here, you do have your battery disconnect switch with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn that over to the off position, the batteries becomes disconnected from the unit. You got your main overhead, the entryway light right here on this switch. And then you got 2 other switches which use your exterior awning LED light as well as a porch light. And then you have your awning extend switch, pushing that button up, the awning's gonna start making its way out. Unfortunately today we don't have enough room to go all the way out, but you're gonna know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hanging down. Sometimes that flap can get stuck, so you just have to retract it a little bit and put it back out, and it will come down. Unfortunately today that's about all the room we have to go out, but if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, and just pull down on the center, and that's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you do like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm, and it's going to allow for more shade underneath. Just always making sure you do push these arms back to straight before you bring that awning in. And then on the last thing on the wall here, you do have your solar controller, but it is just more of a monitor panel. There's not much you're controlling. Pushing battery 1 will tell you what your battery is charging at, what it's putting out. Same thing with your battery 2, pushing that battery 2 button. Taking a step on inside, to get that slide out to run, you do have to have the parking brake on and the key in the accessory position. And then you can come to your display panel here, hit that slide out button. The slide out's going to start making its way out. Once fully extended, you're going to hear that slide out, the slide out's motors wind up and cut out, and that's when you know you're fully extended. This wall here, you do have some storage space, nice little hangers, as well as above the door you got some more storage space. On the wall here is just your monitor panel system. You got that voltmeter button, hitting that tells you what your batteries you're currently at. You got your monitor panel system, it'll tell you what your liquid propane's at, your fresh, your black, and your gray. You got your generator start stops button. To get that generator to start, you do have to hold down on the stop/prime option, holding that down for about 5 to 10 seconds, just allowing that carburetor to prime with fuel. And then you just hit that start button and it fires right on up. Sometimes it doesn't fire the first time. Whenever that happens, again, just holding that stop/prime button again. Hit that start button and it fires right on up. To get that to turn off, you're just hitting that stop button and it turns off. Your water heater, you can fire it on either gas or electric. If you do fire it on gas, you're going to turn that switch on. The water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light's going to come on. At that point, you do just have to turn the switch off, wait about 10 to 30 seconds, and then try turning it back on, and it'll try relighting itself. Then you got your water pump switch, turning that on, draws from your fresh tank. And then you got your Arctic pack switch, which just turns on those bottom tank heaters. You got your living room light switch and your kitchen light switch, and then you do have a driver's side rear light, which just turns the light on above the sewer hose area there, so it can give you some light while you're doing that at night if you were to do so. And the dinette living room area, you do have a pull-out couch, which also has seat belts, so you can. This isn't a pull-out couch; it's a recliner couch. It has fold-down cup holders in the middle. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. If you're gonna pull down on them and stop, that's where they're gonna stay. And then one quick pull, and they'll retract themselves back up. These are recliner chairs, and the recliners are just in the side here. Hitting that button allows that to fold out, and then to close it up, just pulling that switch down, just like any household chair. And that'll allow you to fold it back in. In the dinette area, this does double act as a bed. You're just having to hit that release, safety release, kind of pull down, and push down at the same time, and that'll allow that to come off. You do have to take these two cushions out of the way, and then you just take your back cushions to fill in the center while this rides on that bottom ledge. And then to get it back up, you're just pulling that back up, which does have a strut assist, and you're making sure to lock that safety latch back into place. That way it can't go anywhere whenever you're using it or traveling. Getting into the kitchen area, you do have your kitchen sink, hot and cold water. You got some lights, which are on their own center push buttons right under here. This is where your garbage disposal is, underneath this lid. And then you got your stove, which is, you just turn that over to that pilot option, and you hit that sparker and it fires right on up. Today it did fire right on up, and that's only because we had it running earlier. If you have the propane off for a while and then come back to try and use it again, it does allow air into the lines whenever it is off. So you do just have to purge that out, turning on that oven light, turning it over to the pilot option, giving it a few seconds, and just hitting that sparker. Like I said, sometimes it can take a few minutes just to purge all the air out of the lines. Just keep holding that in and hitting that sparker every so often, and eventually it will light. There you go, that pilot light lit, holding it in for another few seconds just so it gives it a second to hold its own. Then you can let off and it'll hold its own, and you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it'll fire right on up. And then you can just turn it back to that pilot option and leave it there if you want to do so, or you can just turn it right off. I do recommend turning it right off. You got some storage space all underneath here. The access for your water heater bypass is just located right underneath this fridge. That fridge, you got all your controls right at the top here. Pushing that button down turns that on. With this flush, it's on auto, so it's going to first search for AC power. If AC's power is taken away, it'll automatically switch over to gas. If you do want it to run solely on gas, you can just depress that button and it'll solely run on gas. Inside the fridge, you do have a temperature selection. The further you slide this plastic thing up the fin, the colder it's going to get. And then you do have your freezer, which just is one temperature. You got a fan overhead. The way that works is you're just pulling that knob down to unlock it. Turning that knob counterclockwise will close it, and turning it counterclockwise will open it. And then you do just have your fan control switches in the corner. Whenever you do close it, you're just pushing up on it to lock it into place, which won't allow it to go anywhere. You got your microwave, which is just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. You got your range hood with a light and a fan. Inside the kind of bathroom, bedroom area, you do have a safety latch on this door so that when you're traveling, it's not swinging back and forth, but you can close it or you can have it open. Right here, you have your main fuse and breaker panel. Pop this guy open. You got all your breakers right here. Whenever a breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. Whenever you have a fuse blow, it is down below there, so you can check those. Both the stove and the furnace run off propane inside this unit. You have LP detector right down here. If that guy were to ever start going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane to the unit, open up some windows, and turn on those rooftop vents. That way it ventilates out a little bit in here. Inside the bathroom area, you get your sink with hot and cold water, and you got your main GFI plug. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd check. You got test on the bottom, reset up top. If that red light's ever on, it's telling you that the system's been tripped. Then inside, you do have your shower with hot and cold water, as well as a toilet. Inside the bedroom area, light switch on the far left. You got another vent right up top here. This one doesn't have a max air cover, so you can't run that whenever it's raining. You do have to make sure it's closed. The other switch does just do some closet lighting inside whenever you open up those doors. On the wall, you got your thermostat. Push that button on. It's going to go to the last setting you had it on. So right now we do have it on cool. So it's going to be the air conditioner. It's currently running on medium, but you can change that just by pressing the fan button. I usually leave it on auto, and it'll automatically decide, depending on the temperature, where to put the fan speed at. At any point in time, pushing that temperature button up or down changes the desired temperature you'd like the unit at. Hitting that button again, or hitting that mode button again, will bring you into dry. Dry is just a dehumidifying mode. It's going to run that air conditioner as needed to try and take as much moisture out of the air. And then you got heat, which does turn on the heat pump inside the air conditioner. Now, whenever you are using that, it's going to be just reversing the air conditioner operation. So instead of sucking in hot air and blowing out cold, instead of blowing out cold air and blowing out hot air, it's going to blow in the hot air and blow out the cold air. Whenever you are running the air conditioner, you have a few options. You could run it with these louvers open, in which case it's going to dump all its air into the main living space, or you can close them and it'll move its air throughout the unit using all the ducting you see around. Now, if that heat pump isn't enough, this unit is also equipped with a furnace. To turn that furnace on, you do have to have it in heat and the fan on auto. Hit that furnace button, and at that point, it's going to activate. Sorry, you do have to turn the temperature up. Minus the heat pump stuff, it actually doesn't have a heat pump. I thought it did. It doesn't. My bad. You only have the furnace. There's no heat pump. Hitting that mode button one more time will bring you into fan. At that point, you're just running the fan. No heating or cooling involved. Hitting that button one more time, the on button one more time, turns everything off. Whenever you're running your furnace is going to run for another 3 minutes after you turn it off, just as an added safety feature, so it allows itself to cool down. And then inside your bedroom, that's pretty much it, other than the fact that you have some overhead lighting above the bed and an emergency exit at the back there with those two little red latches allowing you to pop that window right out of place. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.